Gandhi, I cannot express strongly enough my horror at this appalling act. I know that you join us in your determination. Pakistan. Mr. Thatcher has sent a message of regret to the Indian Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. She told Mrs. Gandhi, I cannot express strongly enough my horror at this appalling act. I know that you join us in your determination to stand firmly against terrorist forces. Mrs. Gandhi called a cabinet meeting in New Delhi this morning to discuss the assassination and sent a message of condolence to the family of the murdered diplomat, saying the entire nation is aghast at this cowardly and brutal outrage. The Home Secretary, Mr. Britton, is to make a statement about the murder in the Commons this afternoon. The murdered diplomat was 48-year-old Mr. Ravindra Mahtray, an assistant commissioner at the Indian High Commission in Birmingham. He was kidnapped near his home at Berkeley Green in Birmingham on Friday while on his way home from his office. His body was found near the village of Sapcote in Leicestershire last night. Michael Macmillan reports.
The discovery was made late last night near a farmhouse about 200 yards from the M69 motorway, which runs from Coventry to Leicester, and about 40 miles from Birmingham, where Mr. Mahtray was kidnapped. A farmer and his wife returning home saw Mr. Mahatray's body lying in a ditch in a laneway leading up to their house. This morning, Leicestershire police sealed the area off, waiting for forensic experts to arrive. Detectives would not confirm whether or not Mr. Mahtray had been shot. It's understood that Mr. Mahatray's body was discovered only 2 or 3 hours after it had been left. What the police now want to know is if Mr. Mahtray was murdered here, or was he killed elsewhere and the body later dumped here. Mr. Mahtray was last seen at a bus stop opposite the Indian High Commission in Birmingham on Friday evening, but the police now believe he was abducted from near his home on the outskirts of the city. A woman has reported seeing a struggle near there on Friday night. Michael Macmillan, News at 1, Birmingham.
The picturesque region of Kashmir has been disputed territory between Pakistan and India ever since the partition of the former British India into 2 separate states in 1947. At present, India has jurisdiction over about 2/3 of the territory to the east and south, and Pakistan has the remainder. The 2 countries have fought 2 wars over the territory. Now there are factions demanding independence for Kashmir. It's thought that the organization claiming responsibility for the kidnapping and the assassination, calling itself the Kashmiri Liberation Army, may have such aims, but nobody's heard of it before. In Birmingham now is Mr. Zubair Ansari, Central General Secretary of the Kashmir Liberation Front, which is opposed to Indian rule in Kashmir. Mr. Ansari, what is known, if anything, about this Kashmiri Liberation Army?
Nothing as far as we know. We have never heard of such organization. It was Friday night, the very first time we have ever heard of this organization.
Have you made inquiries yourself amongst your local population in the West Midlands to see if anyone else has?
We have. I, in fact, have talked with a couple of people, but it seems to me that nobody knew of anything about this KLA.
Well, how do you interpret what's happened?
Well, it was a simple act which people have taken in order to get their demands met.
What are these demands?
They demanded the release of political prisoners, including Mr. Makbul Butt, Mr. Rayaz, Mr. Hamid, to be sent back to Azad Kashmir, the Pakistani-held part of Kashmir.
Now, you have a large population of Kashmiris in the West Midlands, one understands. Do you feel that there is a wider group being formed which is less peacefully inclined to press